Well, welcome back. Today is Saturday. It is the final installment of our daily vignettes, walking us through the Holy Week and doing so in parallel with the Hebrew wedding ceremony. And I want us to focus in a little bit on the idea that the bridegroom himself does not know when he is going to return. The father watches as the bridegroom does his work and eventually declares that the bridal chamber is fit, and he sends the bridegroom to go and get his bride. And we see some of this in Mark 13, but of that day or that hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. See, only the Father knows when to send the groom back to get his bride. Further, it says, "Take heed, watch, for you do not know when the time will come. It is like a man going on a journey when he leaves home and puts his servants in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to be on watch. Watch, therefore, for you do not know when the master of the house will come, in the evening, or at midnight, or at the cockcrow, or in the morning, lest he come suddenly and find you asleep. And what I say to you, watch." We're in this time of watching, right? We're waiting for the return of the groom. And meanwhile, and that's the picture of the bride, right? The bride is to wait eagerly for the return of the bridegroom. In the mind of the bride, the bridegroom could come at any moment. She has to always be prepared, even in the middle of the night or at midnight. Therefore, she had to stay ready at all times. And we see this in the parable that Jesus shares in Matthew 25 of the 10 virgins, that they're to stay awake and trim their lamps. And it says, the foolish ones said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, our lamps are going to go out." "No," they replied, "there may not be enough for both us and you. Instead, go to those who sell the oil and buy some for yourselves." But while they were on their way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him into the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Folks, when the bridegroom returns, a couple things will happen, just as it does in the Hebrew marriage ceremony. The time of the return of the bridegroom was usually sometime in the night, the midnight hour. And when the bridegroom came, he came with a shout. There was the blowing of a trumpet or a ram's horn. And we see this in Revelation 4:1 or 1 Thessalonians 4:16 and 17. And the marriage between the bride and the groom would take place under this special wedding canopy. They have a canopy, and they come together, and the groom will come in first, and there's this announcement that says, "Blessed is he who comes," and it's basically a welcoming to all those who are at the ceremony. Heaven is that type of canopy for us. And we can see that when Jesus gives his shout to his bride, and he is accompanied by the blowing of the trumpet, that the marriage between Christ and his bride will take place in heaven. Isn't that an incredible picture that the groom returns to get his bride, and there is a trumpet sound, and there is a calling and a reuniting of the bride and the groom under this wedding canopy. And there's a shout of welcome. The groom is greeted as a king under that canopy, and during this time, in Jesus' case, the bridegroom, he will be crowned king under that canopy as well. What an incredible picture that we have. And it's a week of, as I started the week, it's a week of kind of sorrow, right? We feel like there's this sense of, we're remembering that Jesus died, and he dies on the cross, and there's this sadness that goes along with it. But I think there are so many parallels with the Hebrew wedding ceremony, that Jesus takes the church and marries us as his bride, and we become one. it's a fabulous picture. Tomorrow we're going to celebrate Christ's resurrection. We're going to remember his first return to his people, to us. And it is a good thing for us to remember, because without the cross, there is no gospel, right? We have a gospel to proclaim simply because Jesus died on that cross for us. But there's a second promise, and that is that he is going to return for us. He didn't just marry us as a bride and a groom so that he could go on his merry way and leave us here. There's a promise that he is going to return with a shout. He's going to return with a trumpet, and we are going to be taken up with him in that picture of marriage, that Christ will take the church as his bride. And I can't wait for that day. And I'm sure you are feeling the same. And I hope that today you feel that hopefulness, that hopeful sense that comes with that promise of Christ's return. Well, God bless you as you go about this Saturday. And I pray that tomorrow morning you awake with a joy in your heart, with a sense of being surprised by God's hope, and that you are clinging to the promise that he gives us, that he will return for us, his children.